On today's episode of Pathmark Presents, I've got a very special guest with me joining today. Please welcome Jordan Wilson, who is the Digital Marketing Director at BanQu Inc. She's your go-to for customer research and advocacy, messaging and positioning, go-to marketing strategy, and sales enablement. Now, for all of you who don't know, BanQu Inc., they're all about sustainable sourcing, compliance, and their goal is to make it easier. They're one true traceable solution that helps global brands and suppliers gain visibility and control of the remote hidden parts of their supply chain with source level and variable data. Jordan, thank you so much for joining us today. It's an honor to have you here.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm excited.
Yeah, absolutely. So for all of our listeners out there, tell us, what does BanQu do overall?
Yeah, so BanQu's kind of high-level mission is to help brands drive better business while, being as sustainable and compliant and ethical as possible. So what that ends up looking like in terms of the tech we offer is we have a traceability solution that gives companies visibility throughout their supply chain down to the first source. And so that helps them ensure, things are running efficiently. They can mitigate risks while also making sure people are being treated fairly throughout their supply chains. People are getting paid, right? There's no child labor, and they can source the highest quality ingredients for their needs. And so it's kind of this one-stop shop for sustainable business.
Awesome. That's super cool. So then how do your clients typically find you then? Do you guys focus on a certain industry or a certain sector?
Yeah, great question. So because of the nature of our solution, we're definitely multi-industry. So any industry that's sourcing materials or ingredients. So that is typically food and beverage, recycling and packaging, right? That can touch health and beauty. We also get a lot of clients who are wanting to track the carbon impact of their supply chains too. So yeah, we have multi-industry solutions, and our tech is very flexible in that sense. And then typically they'll find us, through word of mouth. We have some pretty amazing clients currently, such as AB InBev, Wilmer, which is a big palm oil sourcing company. And so word of mouth, and then trade shows. I feel the sustainability tech space is very relationship based. And so people can certainly find us online, and we're starting to ramp up our outreach efforts, but a lot of it is more relationship based, which I think is cool.
Yeah, that is really cool. So then as for your clients, you were mentioning that they mainly find you through word of mouth or through trade shows. Are there any other acquisition channels as to how they find you, or are those your two main acquisition channels?
Great question. Those have been our two main ones. We've also started running some more intimate roundtables and thought leadership groups. And so what we'll do is where we have some footholds, we'll, invite key players in the region to just a casual breakfast where our CEO and other, employees in the region, we're a global company, we'll just exchange ideas and talk about what BanQu does. Because at the end of the day, we hope people work with us and we hope they buy from us, certainly, but it's all about sharing ideas and just helping business be better and more ethical.
Yeah, definitely. Especially, with where the world is going. And I love the fact that, when I was going through the BanQu website where, really emphasizing on, traceability and how to help with your carbon footprint as well within this day and age. And I think that's great.
Exactly. Yeah.
Awesome. So now we're going to talk about the website. So what would you say are the, major strengths of the BanQu website?
Yeah, so our website was a big labor of love last year. So I started at BanQu about a year and a half ago, and they were doing well. They had some solid clients, but they were kind of getting to this point where the way they had been presenting themselves and messaging themselves needed a refresh. And so it was this really cool, collaborative effort where we talked internally with multiple teams. We were able to speak with some clients and leaders in the space, and we were able to really nail down our messaging and positioning, who we're trying to reach, what's the best, clearest way to say this without getting too industry jargon heavy. And then we were also able to take that and translate kind of who we are into a design refresh. And so when we built out the website, the idea was we want people to understand what we do as simply as possible, but also in an impactful way. So I think what it's really strong at is if you go on there, you can see like, yes, we're a tech company, but I think what comes across really nicely is at the end of the day, we care about people, right? Like, yes, we're here to pair with businesses and help them do better. But BanQu, when it was started 7 years ago, was actually more focused on the farmers. Like our CEO was like, there are these people in the world who are like doing work every day that's going into like the coffee you drink, right? And they don't have records of their transactions. We have no idea who they are. We have no idea if they're, getting paid, able to open bank accounts. And so it really started, that's like the heart of BanQu. And so we didn't want to lose that, but we also realized in this day and age, we needed a way to bridge the gap between the farmer and the company. And so I think that's a big strength of our website currently.
Yeah, it really is. And especially I didn't know that it was originally made for farmers, and seeing how far BanQu has come and what they've done, that's really incredible overall.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, it is. So now what would you say are the areas of improvement or room for opportunity on the website?
Yeah, absolutely. Since, a big chunk of my time at BanQu has been like, let's get our messaging and positioning down. Let's make sure we understand our buyers and how we're presenting ourselves. Now it's all about optimization and making sure that we're able to kind of capture people where they're at and reach them where they're at. And so, if they come to our website, I think something we're working on now is making sure there's something for everyone, right? Like at every funnel stage. So if they're just kind of poking around, want to know what BanQu is, or read a few blogs and learn about sustainability best practices, they can do that. If they want to schedule like a risk assessment with us, or they're ready to download a guide, like those are areas we're starting to improve now, like making sure like we have something for everyone, and really building that out and making sure that, for us, we can also smartly capture leads and nurture them in a way that's like helpful to that lead as well, and not just, being pushy or salesy or sending them a million emails that they don't need. So just making sure that, our resources are helpful and there's something for everybody.
Absolutely. And I love how you summed it up as well, something for everyone. And I think that is true to the testament of BanQu as well, where it separates you as the, key player within the industry as well.
Thanks. I'm glad that's coming across. So
yeah, definitely. So now we're going to switch gears and we're going to talk about you as a leader. So what do you do on a daily basis in your role?
Great question. So BanQu's marketing team is small but mighty, I would say. So it's myself, and then so I report to our chief of staff, Caitlin Thacker, and she is really just kind of over the revenue org and overall BanQu strategy. And then we have a content marketing manager, Ashley Wallace, who's fantastic. She started as an intern, and she was just like so good that we were like, we need to keep you. We want you to be doing more. And then we also have like a social media intern as well. And then we have a lead gen person who kind of sits between sales and marketing to help us like bridge that gap and make sure that everything's running smoothly. So Sarah Wiggins and Bailey Whitaker, shout out to all of these amazing ladies. We're also a team fully of women, which I love. Yes.
Yes, I'm here for it.
Yeah. When we talk sometimes, we're like, we should probably hire a man one day, but like, it's just so good right now. So I don't know, we'll see. But yeah, so day to day, really a little bit of everything, which I enjoy. Like my title's digital marketing director. So a lot of our focus is on, our digital presence, digital inbound, digital outbound. But at the end of the day, we all wear many hats. And I think that's something I love about my job. So it's like everything from messaging and positioning, customer research. We just launched some ads recently. And so like learning about that's very new. We also have some fantastic consultants we work with who help us make sure we're like on the right track, best practices, but it really is like a little bit of everything, which is nice.
Yeah, that is really nice. Also, speaking of like LinkedIn ads, was something that you've been learning as well. Is there like anything that you guys have recently relaunched as well?
Yeah. So in addition to the ads, we recently launched a digital product passport solution, which we're so excited about. It's actually something that we've been doing bits and pieces of for a long time. Like we've had the data to do it. But with all the chatter around the world about proving your sustainability efforts and making sure you're not greenwashing, we kind of repackaged and launched it. And essentially what it is it's a digital product passport, which means it can be like a QR code or a code people can enter, and they can look like any type of stakeholder, whether a customer, shareholder, whatever, they can scan it and see like exactly where that product came from, like material, ingredients. If it's a product that was like upcycled or recycled, they can see like the journey of that product, which is pretty cool. And I think it's an area that the sustainability world is moving toward, and we're really excited to be a part of it.
Oh, that's really awesome. All right. Definitely something for our listeners to check out too. So That's exciting. So now we're coming to the end of our interview, and I want to thank you so much for joining us on Pathmonk Presents, but I also want to give you the last word. If someone were to forget about everything we've talked about today, what is one thing you want them to remember about BanQu overall?
Yeah, I think it would be like BanQu's overall mission is just to make sure that we're all putting our money in really intentional companies and products. And I think the question companies and consumers can ask themselves is, do I know who made this? Like, do I know where this came from? And I think if I had to sum it up into one thing, or like you forget everything else I said and just remembered this, it would just be like, we need to start asking ourselves these questions. And I think that will lead, it's going to be a long journey, but I think it's one worth taking, right? Like,
yes, exactly.
This capitalist world we live in, but I think it's a question we need to be constantly asking ourselves. And I think that will always keep consumers and companies on the right track.
Yeah, it will definitely. You summed it up perfectly. So thank you again so much for joining us. Yeah, absolutely. And for all of our listeners out there, check us out next week on BanQu Inc.